Welcome in. Today right here I'm showing you my Summoner Necromancer build here. You can do this incredibly budget, and right here I have kind of a, I'll call it a lower mid-range geared Summon Necromancer, and I'll give you ideas of stuff you can do early on or later more end game gear. But right here is a very extremely obtainable Summon Necromancer here. And first off, just as with pretty much any build guide that anyone ever does, we'll start off with the stat points. It's super simple. You want to have enough strength to wear your gear. I wear a spirit shield, so I went to the base value of 156, so then I would never have to respec if I changed around any of the gear. And then I got some extra points from the gear. Dexterity, I did not add any extra because none of the gear really ever needs dexterity, and I'm not doing no max block necromancer or anything like that. Dumped all of the rest here into vitality, and my energy, I didn't add any points. You look at my resistances, kind of goofy here. Now I don't have any fire res. The lightning is maxed though. I just kind of let them fall where they may because there's so much safety when you're playing with a summon necromancer. I decided just to not worry about it and just get some good gear to add different magic find and different things like that. All right, we'll take a look at the skill tree now. And the skill tree, obviously a lot's going to go into the summonings because it's a summon necromancer. So I maxed out skeleton and skeleton mastery here so that those are as powerful as they can be, so they survive as long as they can possibly survive. Now, I went 1 point down to revives, so I can use revives occasionally. There's some instances when you want to use them and some when you don't, which I possibly will explain a little bit later here. And then for the golems, I went straight down to the iron golem, because you see the little iron golem running around next to me over here. That's actually the golem that I end up using because they made a little change here. Actually, the iron golem from regular Diablo to Diablo 2 Resurrected, now it follows you from game to game to game. So what you can do is make that iron golem out of anything, even an item such as insight. So I have the insight meditation aura on my iron golem, and it follows you forever. And it's extremely tanky when you put a bunch of points over here into golem mastery. 540%. It's not maxed out. You see, I got 16 points into it. That's where I put my remaining points after I did some of these other things. So we'll go ahead and take a look at, oh yeah, and there is 1 point in the summon resist, just a 1 point, wonder down there. Over to poison and bone here. Any necromancer build always goes off of corpse explosion. So I maxed out corpse explosion to get the maximum radius so you can melt the entire screen, popping them corpses. I do have 1 point here into bone armor. You don't really necessarily need any more than that. Some people don't even use bone armor, but I would recommend just always putting 1 point into it. Why would you not? It doesn't really make much sense to me. So I'll use it on all the time, but I don't always make sure it's always up because you have so much safety from all your skeleton minions. But I try to always make sure I got bone armor going. Now over here, we have the curses, and with the curses here, we've got amp damage maxed out right here. That's just to get the most radius and to make sure the duration's high enough. But that way you can just cast it once or twice and you cover the entire screen with amp damage, even monsters off the screen. So that way everything gets amped up super quick. And then these two right here, I didn't put any points into that. You see current skill level 13, and it says item. So that's just from one of the items I got. It's how I get Iron Maiden and Terror. But to be honest, I never really use either one of those. Alrighty, and now on to the part that people think is the most interesting, and we'll take a look at the gear. Now for the gear, remember, this is not end-game best possible blah 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 type of gear. This is just super obtainable gear here that I found all this stuff along the way pretty much. So for the weapon, I found this Maelstrom along the way here. So it's got bonuses to amp damage and corpse explosion. There's many other of the mid-level wands for the necromancer you can use here. You could use a spirit sword. You could use a hoto, a heart of the oak as well. Those are probably even better options than this for sure. And like I said, there's other ones of those mid-range wands. Some of them add a bunch to the different summoning skills and stuff, or they just have 2 to necromancer and stuff like that. So, you keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. A Shako is just super amazing. This is one of the most difficult pieces to get for this build that I particularly have here. And it's not even really that tough. And this build can easily do cows on players 8. They can do Chaos Sanctuary solo by itself. Super easy. We got a spirit shield over here. It is 35 FCR. My breakpoints aren't perfect because, like I said, this isn't perfect gear. This isn't the end game perfect min-maxed gear, but this is just all very good gear. But I do have a 35 FCR Spirit here. Just some rare boots to give me a little bit more fire res and magic find and the walk run. Because this is more budget, I do not have an Enigma, as you could probably see and tell here. I got a caster amulet. This one could be a little slightly hard to get. Anything to add to skills for your Necromancer, whether it's a magic, a rare, a crafted, Mara's, whatever you can get your hands on. Now, I have Trang's armor here, and I actually have 3 pieces of Trang, so I get extra lightning res here, and actually the firewall from this I actually use on bosses, because when you're going against like players 8 difficulty Diablo or something like that, your minions don't do crazy ton damage. It's a pretty slow kill, so I'll drop firewalls on them to just kind of tick away a little extra damage along the way there. And since I said I had 3-piece Tranks, here's another piece on the belt. This way you can get Canopy Frozen, and then that adds to the 3 pieces. You get the Regen Mana, Fireball, and Firewall. And, of course, on almost any Necromancer, I couldn't imagine why you wouldn't want to use the Trang's Gloves. Faster curses, faster cast rate, FCR there. It does have the poison skills damage, but I'm not a poison necro currently. Rings, I just have 2 FCR rings, the best I could find down here. SOJs would be great options, you know, and stuff like that. For the belt, you could obviously throw on a ton of other things if you want a magic find with a gold wrap. Obviously, the spiderweb sash, the Erected's mesh is great here. And super endgame, obviously, armor. If you could get yourself an Enigma, that would be crazy awesome. But on Switch, this is actually very important to this build, in my opinion. I have a Nagus Puzzler. You could just get a regular staff from Dragnon, but they usually don't have as many charges, and plus this has faster cast rate on it as well. And the so that way you can actually teleport along even faster. Now, it is important to note when I get into the inventory down here why it is so empty. This costs, if it's completely empty of teleport charges, 130 or 140,000 gold to repair. You could do the, I think it's an Ort Rune and Chip Gem will repair charges, or a Ral Rune and a Chip Gem possibly as well. I can't remember offhand exactly what it was, but since I can't remember, you're probably guessing I do not do that. If you really want to go farm Ort Runes for 3 hours to be able to recharge, because I use this a ton, teleporting around saves a ton of time when I farm such as the Chaos Sanctuary, that it would just take me literally like 3 hours to farm enough Ort Runes to cube it every single run. It's really not worth it. You can just pick stuff up along the way, like armors and stuff like that, that you can sell for 35k gold, and every run you can get enough gold to just repair it. Now that is why this is so empty down here, and I don't have skill grand charms or life or magic find or anything like that. I leave this open so between runs I can grab, you know, 1 armor here is worth 35k. I can grab an orb and a wand that hopefully when you ID them they could be worth 35k a piece, a necro head, all different kind of stuff like that that can sell for a bunch of gold. That way hopefully I can get over that 140,000 gold every run in order to keep up with recharging, and I never really had much of a problem with it, to be honest. Some runs you'd think some of the orbs would be worth 35 and they'd end up only being worth like 1100 because they didn't roll with anything on them or something lame like that. But then other runs you'd get 200,000 or 300,000 gold, so it wouldn't really be a problem. The only charms I do have down here, I got a torch, which is, like I said, the Shaco could be slightly difficult to achieve, to get. Obviously a torch could also be hard. You could obviously throw an anti-charm down in here as well. If you didn't need the gold, if you ended up having the Enigma, you could go ahead and fill this up with summoning skillers, maybe poison and bone to increase the radius of your corpse explosion, anything like that down here to help you out. Magic find charms, res charms, life charms, anything you want to throw down here that could help you out, really. But it's completely unnecessary to really have that stuff, because it doesn't increase any of your damage having grand charms down here. That adds to skills, really, because corpse explosion does the same amount of damage all the time. It just increases the radius. So I just have a couple of life and a couple of magic find charms down here to help my resistances a tad down here. And of course the torch and my tombs right here. Got it full of full rejuves over there. Alrighty, now here's where I strayed from the budget slightly here on the mercenary, but I will tell you there's a ton of other options you can use for mercenaries. So we'll just take a quick glance at the mercenary gear here. This is actually very, very good end game stuff here. I got an Infinity. I got a Fortitude Ethereal Armor, and I have an Endarl's Visage. Now, like I said, this is incredibly endgame stuff, but this is mainly just because I want to get Crushing Blow on my Mercenary to help take out Diablo. There are many other options. Treachery on the armor is go-to budget. I would say anything below a Treachery, unless you're incredibly early on, like you're using just some random armor with life on it or something, you want to get at least a Treachery and then get yourself a Fortitude. Up at the mask here, you got the Endarl's Visage. There's another mask, the Tal Rasha's mask, you definitely want to throw up there. If you're incredibly early on, you can actually make a Blood Helm. Look that recipe up, I can't remember offhand, but that will give you a helm to get Life Leech on, and Life Leech is super important on your Act 2 Mercenary. And then for the weapons, obviously Infinity is incredibly expensive and incredibly awesome, but you could throw an Insight on here, even though you have an Insight Golem running around right here. Insight is still an incredibly good rune word. It'll add a bunch of damage to your Mercenary. If you can also, if you already have that Infinity Insight, you can throw on an Obedience over here, because Obedience adds just a bunch of damage, and it has a very high Crushing Blow. I believe it's actually 40% Crushing Blow as well on an Obedience, so it's another good budget option. A lot of times you're going to want to use that Insight on your Mercenary, but since you can get that Meditation Aura from your Golem, you don't need it. So Obedience would actually kind of be better than an Insight over here, but obviously this is an endgame stuff right here, and it makes it the build like way better. So if you can get this stuff, I would go with that. So yeah, I'll go ahead and rock out an example run here in the Chaos Sanctuary. It's super easy peasy. Teleporting in here, I'll usually stop and take out champion packs right at the beginning here. That way I can get Skellies up, and obviously, if you didn't know, the champions out here are the same levels as in the Chaos Sanctuary, so you can find all the same stuff. So why not stop out here and pop all these corpses on the way in? So let's just go ahead. I'll skip them for now, just because this is more of an example gameplay than anything. But see, you get your stuff going here. Cast amp damage, cast, corpse explosion. And the character is a little squishy. You see, if you Leroy Jenkins in here a little bit, you just go YOLO, it can cause you some problems. But you see how fast you can drop all of the monsters here in the Chaos Sanctuary. So you teleport to reposition your skeletons, you see. You drop them, cast amp damage, and then cast corpse explosion, and they just instantly drop. I'll keep a little bit, I'm giving it a bad showing here, because I'm not really paying attention. I'm trying to go fast, but we'll slow it down a little bit, and I'll show you how good this character can really be. See, your mercenary takes one of them out super quick, and bam, down they all go. It's super that easy. We'll go ahead and, wow, this is a super busy one. I really want to stop and clear all this stuff, because this is the opportunity that you get to find high runes here in the Chaos Sanctuary when you get a completely full room like this. Alright, we'll just go ahead and get this cleared up a little bit faster. Boop, boop. There, he's gone. Teleport around over here. I'll just skip some of this stuff just so I can get it going a little bit faster. There we go. We'll get our bone armor back up, get the amp damage. And see, I actually only have 4 skeletons here. You can obviously get a bunch more. And I would not recommend using revives all the time, because they will literally stack on top of each other, and they will cause your skeletons to just all get stuck. They won't only stack they will not only stack themselves together, they will actually hog up your skeletons even, and keep them from being able to be moved. And we definitely want them to spread out to take the aim away from us and go at the skeletons, because we are super squishy. Alright, take these guys out. Pop, 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 pop. And here is generally where I will grab the revives, and I'll bring up some of these guys just for Diablo, because the revives will do a bunch of damage. See, here's some good stuff to get gold from right there. Perfect. Grab some potions if you need to heal yourself up a little bit. So now we'll go ahead and take a look over here at Diablo and see the speed that you can take down Diablo. It's not the absolute fastest in the world, but it's more of a monster clearer than a boss killer. So cast the amp damage, and you see him. See the speed at which it's going down? It's going all right. But you can also cast these firewalls that will help out too. So don't sleep on that firewall for the Necromancer. See, it works out pretty good here for the summoner, just clearing out the Chaos Sanctuary. I was trying to go a little fast, so it did look like I was chugging a lot of potions, but if you actually take your time and pay attention, it is not that difficult. And even if you get that fire res up, that'll help you. Mine's quite low. So hey, hopefully you use this build. It is incredibly fun, incredibly cheap, a great ladder starter. So maybe for the first ladder, Diablo 2 Resurrected, you will take it under consideration. So hey, peace out, fellas. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget, keep slaying. Buy the shirt down in the merch store below the video.